Well, we're going to continue the videos, the series, how to be successful as an ebook author. Today I want to talk about what happens when your well starts to get dry, what happens when you would approach writer's block, what happens when you can't come up with any ideas. And I'm going to say that one of the things that has affected my ability to draw from the well has been travel, and the influence of travel, the influence of place, and how it's coming out in my writings. At the end of the video I'll mention 3 books which wouldn't have been possible if I hadn't have had exposure to travel. So the first thing I want to say is we live in a period of time, well, I've lived in a period of time, I was born in 1950, so I'm a baby boomer, and I've come from, my first flight was on a DC-3, which is now a vintage aircraft. My first experience in a helicopter was a Bell helicopter with a big glass bubble front, and it did a manoeuvre right round this concrete pier, which was a part of a broken down building, sitting on my father's lap. And it was such a unusual experience that it stayed with me, or it's penetrated my being. And because it's penetrated my being, I can recall it. I can regurgitate it from the well, if I could put it that way. As a baby boomer, I've lived in a period where it's possible to use modern materials like aluminium to fly hang gliders, and motorised hang gliders called trikes, and had my own home-built aircraft made with stressed aluminium design to be a very safe aircraft to circumnavigate the whole of Australia. So I've been places and seen things that would have been not possible for an average man to do prior to the Second World War. And I've done millions of miles in a personal motor car before they started making motor cars, which was only a blink in time in history, and even the old ones couldn't do great mileages. But I've lived in a period where, I don't know, I've done more than 1 million and maybe more than several million kilometres of personal driving in such a large country of Australia, to travel from Melbourne right up to Cairns and back in a bus, a fitted out bus we had, and to do a trip from Melbourne all the way to Western Australia non-stop over 4 days. Also the chance to do 16,000 kilometres in 14 weeks in a van around Europe. To get an overview of what Europe looked like was a wonderful privilege. All of these things were not possible prior to being in the period that I've lived in. 52,000 miles, nautical miles sailed at sea as captain in command, as on a liveaboard lifestyle cruising, has given me the chance to be 1,000 miles away from anywhere at sea. And it's amazing to fly over the same area where you've travelled in a boat and see from horizon to horizon where you've been, and just to see how isolated you were. And there's a mystique about being out there. It's not loneliness. It's just the knowledge that you're on this massive expanse of water, this desert of water, if you could put it that way, and it affects you. And because it affects you, sailors understand it. It's a wonderful effect when it's good sailing conditions, and can be a bit scary when we were 3 days on the edge of a cyclone up by Palawan in the Philippines. Not so fun then, but this travelling gives you exposure to, I'm going to use a strange word, the glory of a place. Somebody said that the glory of the earth is different than the glory of the moon. When a man goes to the moon, he's got to wear a little backpack of the glory of the earth to survive in the glory of the moon. Now, I seem to be getting off topic, but I'm not, because I watched the aerial shots recently with the Tour de France from the helicopters, and I've driven that area on the ground, but the perspective from a helicopter just showed me as they went from shadow to shadow to shadow, explaining which ones they were, and cathedral to cathedral to cathedral, and we're talking about when they were burnt down and when they were restored and who first lived in them. And it screamed to me, watching it as a second-hand travelling experience on a documentary, or following the, not a documentary, but following the Tour de France road race, bike race. It made me think how little history I have as a New Zealander living in Australia. We've only been around 200 years, but this place and these helicopter shots just showed me the glory of France, if I could put it that way, which is a completely different glory than actually sitting out in the deserts of Western Australia where I live. I could take you out into the, instead of being a desert of the sea, into the desert of the desert, and there's an atmosphere which is nothing like being in the glory of France. It's the glory of an Australian desert, if I can put it that way. Broadford Sound and Fiordland, 6 o'clock in the morning, with these massive cliffs that come straight out of the water. You can actually anchor your boat to the cliff because they go in so steep. Just tie onto a couple of trees on the side of the cliff. And this morning I was coming up Broadford Sound, and these cliffs come straight out of the water to 4,500, 5,000 feet. Not a cloud in the sky, not a ripple of wind on the water, and the mirror image of this massive cliff face reflecting in the water. You had to be there and know there was nobody within 500 kilometres on that side of the Southern Alps, and to own that glory, that second in time. And it fills up the well of a writer to have these experiences, to be in the, looking at my notes again to stay on topic, to be in the natural harbour of Pegasus in Stewart Island. Nobody goes there. It's there's no shops down there. You have to travel 2 sailing days to get there. You could put 100 square rigger sailing ships in that natural harbour. It's pristine. To go there and to be the only one there. The glory of the place, completely different than anywhere else. Yeah. Now you can watch a documentary as a second-hand experience, but it's two-dimensional. It's not the same as actually being there and sensing it. Low-flying in a powered hang glider through the wetlands at 6 o'clock in the morning. It's like a flying motorbike 12 feet above the ground, wafting through the little bits of mist and seeing the bird life and nature waking up at just after first light. You have to do it to feel the glory of it, if I can put it that way. Sounds a bit religious, but in some ways these feelings these experiences are religious experiences. The book 3 Circumnavigations cannot and would not be a book without those travelling experiences. Once Bitten, Twice Shy is a book which used place and what I feel about those places to write that book. And 4 Bastard Sons to Iran is the same. All those books can be found on gradedreading.com. Graded Reading, all one word. Go and take a look at the audio files for the book Dream Bouncing. Have a listen to how I and my co-writer Jenny Sweeney write. See if you like what we do on that site. Thank you for watching this YouTube. I'm Ronald Sharp. This is enough from Graded Reading for today. Cheers.